Hi everybody, welcome back to those who've been hanging with me some time, and welcome to those of you who are new to my channel. I'm Adela Lavine, intuitive and medium. All right, it's that time of year. You know, that time of the year where you guys decide to join me in the land of the dead. New cup, as you can see, with the sugar skull on it. So it's that time where I also have to bombard you guys with these.
Don't just walk by, say something creepy.
For some reason, I love the idea of things like this, speak things, and I think it's because spirits actually do speak through electronics, as I showed you in my last video. And so I love the idea of all these different types of objects. And this one's kind of cool because it's Happy Halloween. So I love the idea of how objects are used, electronics are used to speak to the spirit, or the spirit world uses it to speak to us. And I think that's why I realize that I have one of these. I have a phone one. I have a bunch of them. It's why I'm kind of looking like, you know, a floating head, like in the Haunted Mansion well, at least in the Disneyland here in LA. Do you guys, is it there in Disneyland, you know, Disney World in Florida? Any Florida people, let me know. It's a Madam, why did I can't say her name right? Oops. You know, who has the floating head. I think they're doing a movie with her. By the way, anyway, I ramble and go on too much. So what I wanted to do with you today is we're going to do a lot of things that definitely have to do with the spirit of Halloween and everything. And, you know, I'll answer some questions, and I would love for you guys in the comments below, let me know what you want to know about this month of October. I post stuff on my TikTok. I post stuff on my Instagram. I post little videos explaining, you know, what does veil mean and all this kind of stuff, or about this time of year. But what video would you like me to go in depth when it comes to this time of month that people tend to be very fixated on? But for today, I thought it would be cool to talk about deities. Deities, because I get asked this question a lot, working with deities. And of course, he's perfect for this time because he is Anubis and he is the god of underworld. This is why I love, obviously, working with this energy. So first of all, before I get into some steps on how you can work with deities, remember that deities are energy. They are energy. They are not literal. So there really isn't, you know, here's another, my very much favorite segment, which is the goddess. I call her the goddess of love and war, because when I first connected with this energy, that's what it was told to me. That she said, you know, I'm the goddess of love and war. And she said, you've learned how to love, and now you need to learn to be a warrior. It's not literal. She's not walking around with this, you know, lion's head and a sun, you know, over her head. It is representation. Obviously, artists, and especially in that time, this is where it began, artists were the ones to kind of interpret what they saw or felt or was inspired. And there's representations, which I'm sure if you get really, really deep into the deities, of what different things mean on them. But when it comes to working with deities, it's very simple. Deities, let's first cover what are deities. So deities are gods and goddesses, and sometimes people even think like angelic or archangels, like Archangel Michael, Archangel Azrael, and all these type of archangels are also a form of deities. They're kind of almost like a god or goddess like, you know, being that we kind of depict as kind of all-knowing, all-seeing, kind of ancient type of beings that know the universe and help guide and teach. That is people's interpretation, and people tend to kind of treat deities almost like worshiping. Now, this is what I've come to learn to understand deities, that they're energy. It isn't obviously a she or a he or a them. or they talking to us. It is an energy. It's a representation. So when you think of a deity or goddess, Kali, which Kali's energy is very similar to Sekhmet's energy. Both the energies are about helping you kind of be warriors and helping you find strength and helping women and things like this. So they're not too different from each other, but they are different looking and they have a different, this is Egyptian and Kali is from India. So they're a very, different locations and everything, but that's what they have in common. And to me, that's is what I actually have found. Anubis is similar to other type of deities that are like in Rome. And, so there's like so many similarities in the energy. So when you want to work with a deity, you don't go, hey, that one's cool, that one looks cool. You say, that one has an energy that I feel drawn to. Like, for instance, I love Sekhmet, I love Anubis, I love Horus, the Eye of Horus, which you see me wear all the time. This deity is like the all-seeing eye, and Horus has its own story. But you can find so many stories that are similar to Horus. So I'm drawn to that energy because I'm drawn to an energy that's going to be protective. I'm drawn to these warrior type energies because of what I do. Anubis has an energy to me that is protective of working with the dead. Meaning, like, I don't see that energy as being an energy that's going to, show me the magic of the underworld or anything. I see it as a protective, like, okay, this energy is going to protect me when I'm going into this area of that realm, which is working with the dead. So when you are looking, number one, for a deity, go to the one you feel drawn to. And what I was going to say is I'm not really big into Isis. I like the energy of Isis, but Isis is very motherly. It's very nurturing. She is the mother of all of these energies. And I just don't feel like I need that. I'm not drawn to that energy because I tend to be that way for everyone else, that I actually just don't feel a draw towards that energy. When you look at other type of like archangels, like Archangel Michael, and these, the same thing, they are energies that are protective and things. So when you are looking for what you want to work with, what I always tell you, follow yourself, follow no one, listen to your inner voice, right? And so that's what you need to do when you're looking for an energy that you want to work with. Which one are you drawn to? Who are you drawn to? And once you feel that, pick that one and feel what you feel from that deity. Don't just read up online or wherever you're getting your information, like this is what they're about. Learn about them first from the heart. Second, start talking to them. Just like spirits, you got to start talking and making a connection. Do not make demands. Don't say, okay, Isis, this is what I want from you. Okay, Kali, this is what I want from you. You do not make demands. You say, I want to learn, I want to grow, because deity energy is very powerful. My cat agrees because, as we know, cats are goddesses and gods of our world. Believe me, my cat's been letting me know that lately. So when you're working with them, you need to speak to them. You need to ask them like, hey, can you teach me? Because they are teachers. They are not here to find your keys. They are not here to get you parking, at the best place. They are just these high teachers and sometimes protectors. And so they are the ones that you want to connect to when you're saying, I want to evolve and learn and grow. But you don't need to treat them like you're worshiping them. And that is the mistake I see people do. They'll treat them like worshiping. Wow, she's really and they'll treat the deities like, oh, I have to worship them and worship them. You don't need to. You just need to make a connection. And once you make the connection, make sure you know why you're making the connection. Make sure that you know that you're making the connection with this deity because this is an energy you feel that you want to connect to. You want it to teach you. So you need to research it for sure, but you don't need to go on a whole thing of here's my checklist, right? You got to go in your heart. So for me, when I first felt connected to Sekhmet, It was like something that came to me. It was an energy and I felt like a voice. Now, how do you know the difference? This is a question people always ask. How do you know the difference between a deity and a spirit? Because it's way more intense and way more powerful. Just like my cat, who is just making a ton of noise, is a difference in a lion. Okay, so she's making a lot of noise for sure. But if a lion was in here making noise, you would know the difference. Got it? They are much more intense. There's much more of a powerful energy because they are like the professors, teachers, and high, up on the rank as far as knowledge, not hierarchy, which is different, not reigning over, just their knowledge is so much more extensive. They've been around this energy's been around a long, long, long ancient times. So when they are working with you, they're not babying you, they're not holding your hand, they're not going, hey, do you need some help? Do you need some water? What do you need? They're like, boom, you want to learn something, then be prepared to learn. And that is how you know. Once you kind of pick your one, once you kind of make that connection by talking, and then you know the difference between that, then you don't have to go into, you can do like an altar, like I have these on my altar. You can get statues because they're representation. They're representing, it's symbolic. You're basically like, I want to put something down to symbolize a certain energy that I would like to have on my altar. It's because we need concrete, tangible things in this realm to kind of have something harness in energy. That is how we work on the earthly realm. We need physical things, and that's what we feel better with. We need something physical to kind of focus on, to kind of create like, okay, this is the vibe, that I'm putting out right now. So you can get statues. It doesn't matter, small, big, large, giant, whatever size you want. It could be on a cup. It can be even if you have like a matchbook or something that has their imagery. You don't have to spend a lot. You can even draw it. It's just you kind of going, this is what I would like to put out. And if you want to put it on your altar, that's fine. But always come at this, lastly and importantly, respectfully. And what do they do for you? They teach you, they kind of give you that infused teaching. It's for the people who are serious. People who are serious to learn. It is not for people who want something to be at their beck and call. I was like watching, it sounds really dumb, but I was watching The Flash, one of those type of superheroes, and he was talking to another person who had, superhero stuff, and they were telling him, you have to learn something. Just because you have an ability, just because you have access to something, extraordinary doesn't mean you are knowing how to live it and how to be it and how to breathe it, meaning you aren't learning to respect it so that you learn what you don't know, meaning be okay with saying, I'm going into this, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, I'm not really sure what this means, but I'm willing to learn. And that is all they care about. So I hope that helped. Happy deity time. And remember that don't get into the ego of saying Sekhmet told me this, and Isis told me this, and Anubis told me this, Kali told me this, and oh yes, I talk to them all the time, because they kind of don't operate that way. Even as much as I work with these deities, I don't see them or feel them in that capacity all the time. They don't. It's just kind of like I said, the dean or something of a school or the high professor is going to teach you, but they're not holding your hand all the time. So whenever I hear people say, oh, all the time, I'm working with these all the time, doesn't sound right. So if you have questions, I'm very happy to answer. I answer a lot of questions in my comments. I can't give a full teaching of it, but maybe if you want me to teach a class on it in the way I work with deities, let me know. Thank you so much. Follow yourself, follow no one, listen to your inner voice. And I'll see you soon.